You know the feeling. It's a scorcher of an afternoon, you look out the window and, oh no, your favorite hydrangea is completely flopped over. It is such a sad, dramatic sight, and it sends any plant lover into a total panic. Your first instinct? Grab the watering can, right? But just hold on a second. What if I told you that reaching for that watering can isn't just a waste of time, but it could actually be the worst possible thing you could do for your plant? I know it sounds crazy, but today we're gonna pull back the curtain and see why your plant might just be lying to you. So let's get right into it. We're calling this the wilting deception. This is that classic trap where our gut reaction to help a wilted plant can, believe it or not, do way more harm than good. Okay, so you need to meet the drama queens of the garden world, the day wilters. We're talking about plants with big leafy greens like hydrangeas, squash, and melons. They put on this incredible, tragic performance in the afternoon heat, even when there's plenty of water in the soil. It's all a self-protective act, but it's an illusion that tricks even the best of us into overwatering. So why in the world do they do this? I promise it's not just for attention. There's some really cool science going on here, and that brings us to the real story behind all that drooping. The first thing you gotta know about is something called turgor pressure. All that is the water pressure inside a plant cells that helps it stand up straight and tall. When the pressure is high, the plant is perky. When it drops, it gets all floppy. The best way to think about it is like one of those wacky waving inflatable tube men at a car dealership, you know? When it's full of air, it's dancing and upright. But if you pull the plug, it just collapses into a heap. Same idea. And the second piece of this puzzle is transpiration. This is, for all intents and purposes, how plants sweat. On a hot day, they release water vapor from their leaves to cool themselves down and avoid getting scorched by the sun. It's a super important survival tool, not just a sign that it's thirsty. And here's where it all clicks together. On a really hot sunny day, a plant can start sweating out water through transpiration way faster than its roots can suck new water up from the soil. This creates a short-term water deficit, which makes that turgor pressure drop, and voila, you've got a wilting plant. The key thing to understand is this. It's an issue of rate, not necessarily a lack of water in the soil. This brings us to a really, really critical distinction you have to make. Is it temporary wilting or is it permanent wilting? A plant that's just temporarily wilting will pop right back up on its own once things cool down in the evening. But a plant in permanent wilt, that's a true SOS. The soil is usually bone dry, the leaves are yellowing and crispy, and it is not going to recover without your help. Knowing the difference here is everything. So how do you actually tell the difference? How do you become a plant detective instead of just a panicked waterer? Well, it's time for the super simple but incredibly powerful 10-second soil test. Before you even dream of grabbing that hose, I want you to follow these 3 easy steps. First, just wait and watch. I know it's hard, but just give the plant until evening, once the sun is off of it and the temperature drops. Second, go check the leaves. Has it magically perked back up all by itself? If it has, congratulations. You've just seen temporary wilting in action. Now, if it's still droopy, then and only then do you move to step 3, the finger test. Literally, just stick your finger about 2 or 3 inches into the soil. What does it feel like? Is it dry? And hey, don't just take my word for it. The legendary laid-back gardener Larry Hodgson put it perfectly. He said, if the soil is still moist when you check, you don't need to water, the plant will totally recover on its own overnight. This simple little test is your absolute best defense against the crime of overwatering. Now, for all you folks with potted plants, things can be a little bit trickier. The top inch of soil in a pot dries out super fast, and it can really fool you into thinking the whole thing is a desert. This is where a moisture meter is a fantastic little gadget to have. It lets you check the moisture level way down deep, right where the roots are, so you get a much more honest read. Okay, so you've done your investigation, you've done the finger test, and guess what? Your plant actually is thirsty. How do you give it what it wants without causing a whole new set of problems? Let's dive into how to water smarter, not harder. Let's just settle this debate right now. Morning is without a doubt the best time to water your plants. Why? Well, it gives the water plenty of time to soak deep into the roots and get absorbed before the heat of the day really kicks in. Watering in the evening might seem like a good idea, but it often leaves the foliage wet all night, which is like rolling out the welcome mat for fungal diseases and pests like slugs. And listen, when you do water, just remember these 3 golden rules. First, water deeply, but do it infrequently. A good long soak once or twice a week is way better than a little sprinkle every day. This encourages the roots to grow deep and strong. Second, always aim for the soil at the base of the plant, not the leaves. Again, this helps prevent disease. And third, use mulch. A good layer of mulch is like a superpower for your garden. It keeps the roots cool and helps lock in all that precious moisture. All right, for our last section, we really need to talk about the dark side of all this, because the danger of drowning your plants is a much bigger threat than a little bit of temporary heat stress. Now, this is the scenario that messes with every gardener's head. You've done the finger test, you know the soil is damp, maybe it's even soggy, but your plant is still wilted and it looks just awful. What is going on here? Well, 9 times out of 10, the culprit is the dreaded root rot. See, when soil is constantly soaked, there's no oxygen for the roots. They literally drown. And then nasty fungi move in and cause them to just decay and rot away. At that point, the plant can't absorb any water or nutrients at all, no matter how much you give it. And here is the truly tragic irony of it all. The symptoms of a drowning plant, wilting, yellowing leaves, they look exactly like the symptoms of a thirsty plant. And this is what traps gardeners in a fatal loop. They see a wilting plant in wet soil, they think, oh my gosh, it must need even more water, and they literally end up watering their plant to death. So prevention is absolutely your best friend here. Let me give you a pro tip. Before you even buy a new plant from the nursery, gently slide it out of its pot and take a peek at the roots. Healthy roots should be firm and white or silvery. If you see roots that are brown, soft, or kind of mushy, that plant is probably already in trouble. Just put it back and pick a healthier one. So I'm gonna leave you with this one question. The next time you see that dramatic, droopy plant on a hot afternoon, what are you gonna reach for first? The watering can or your finger? Learning to read what your plants are really trying to tell you, well, that's what makes all the difference.